My name is Alberto Bardelli. I'm welcoming you to this webinar on behalf of ESOI and EACR, actually the past president of the European Association for Cancer Research. And it is a pleasure to introduce you to our association. You can see on my slide several of the reasons why it's definitely worth considering joining EACR. It has been growing very fast. It's a large community, very large, the largest community in Europe of cancer researchers. And there are several opportunities that you can join that are listed here. We continue to grow as an association. And among other things, we organize conferences, some of which have run for several years now. And a few of them that are coming up are listed here. We go from drug-tolerant persister cells to cancer genomics, liquid biopsies. And of course, we also have conferences around radiomics and other aspects. You can find out more at the web link that is listed below. And finally, also on behalf of EACR and ESOI, I'd love to welcome you to our upcoming Congress, which will be in person in Seville, in Spain. It is a pleasure that we will be going back to meet each other and discuss great science and great clinical science. And with that, I'll turn it over to Professor Neri for his welcoming address. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alberto. I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can see this in full screen. So it's my task to introduce the European Society of Oncologic Imaging as president-elect of the society. The society is also has also cooperation with the European Association for Cancer Research and is partner of the EuCanImage project. So it's one of the partners of this Horizon 2020 project that will be introduced by the next speaker. What about ESOI? ESOI is a subspecialty society of the European Society of Radiology as an institutional member, and is under the umbrella of this of the hugest society of radiology in the world. The aim of ESOI is to promote advance in imaging and research activity related to cancer imaging, and ESOI is open to medical professionals from radiologists as well as clinical specialties and allied science. This is the composition of the board of the society. Our president, I apologize for not being today with us, is Professor Heinz Peter Schlemmer from Heidelberg. You can see the composition of the executive committee with the treasurer as Marius Mayhofer, secretary Melvin D'Anastasi, and the different committees with members at large of the board, the education committee, the membership communication committee, research committee, and the young radiologists committee. The society is growing, has gained more than 1,000 members from all over the world. The society has a lot of activities, educational activities. Given to the pandemic, we enhanced the webinar activities in 2020 and 2021. And the society is continuing to provide this type of education to his members. So please join the society if you are, of course, not a member of the society, and take advantage of this opportunity. So now it's my pleasure to introduce the full webinar that I will moderate since the beginning to the end. The first session is dedicated to an introduction to the EuCanImage project, which will be given by Karim Lekadir. Professor Lekadir is a coordinator responsible for the EuCanImage project. Is chair of the Artificial Intelligence Lab at the University of Barcelona. So please, Karim, now the podium is yours, and I welcome you to the first session. of this, I'm sure, very successful webinar.
Thank you, Emanuele. It's a pleasure to be here to present the EuCanImage project. Let me share my screen quickly to say that the project has started almost exactly 1 year ago. This is a 4-year project, so we are still ongoing. To say also that EuCanImage is part of a network, the AI for Health Imaging. So this is part of a program funded by the European Commission to support the development of European repositories for cancer imaging data, as well as the development of artificial intelligence solutions in the field. So I will introduce EuCanImage by starting through a use case. So imagine we have this use case where we want to build an artificial intelligence solution for liver cancer detection, particularly small lesions. So to do this, one would need, obviously, training data. That's what artificial intelligence requires. So we would contact a hospital, for example, the Barcelona hospital, because we are based in Barcelona and they are experts in liver cancer. In fact, they are among the very best in the world in the field. And well, if we did this, we'd find out that they have about 400 cases liver MRI data set, which is a good number, but insufficient for artificial intelligence solution that would be scalable and that would be robust. So we'd have to go to other sites, for example, in the Netherlands, Sweden, Poland, Lithuania, Italia, and even maybe outside of Europe. And this is really the motivation for EuCanImage, is to build a federated network that would contribute cancer imaging data of sufficient size, but also sufficient quality to be able to train as well as validate AI solutions. So this is not the first archive of cancer imaging data sets in the world. In fact, there is one that was created by our partners within the EuCanImage project in the US, which is called the Cancer Imaging Archive, that I'm sure most of you know. It existed for about 10 years. We do not have the equivalent really in Europe as yet. And this program funded by the European Commission is precisely to build similar repositories in Europe. Now, the Cancer Imaging Archive, if we look, it's a cancer imaging archive that has a lot of data in breast, chest, head, neck, etc., but still not so much in liver MRI, which is the example I gave. So we do need still many repositories that would be linked in Europe, beyond Europe, around the world to improve access to high quality imaging data and to build and validate artificial intelligence solutions in the future. And this is the first objective of EuCanImage, is to build such a federated, GDPR compliant and user-friendly platform for imaging, as well as for their corresponding non-imaging data. The second objective is to build then an environment to build and validate this AI solution, environment that would be easy to use, that would be multi-center, and that would lead to trustworthy AI solution. The third objective is to build these solutions while taking into account real-world clinical needs in cancer care. So in particular, in EuCanImage, we will focus on liver cancer, colorectal cancer, and breast cancer. So this is the list of use cases we're going to look into in this project. And finally, it is important for us that the work is disseminated, that we promote the platform, the repositories, and that we build a network of contributors and also users of these data sets and also these AI tools. And this webinar is one means to achieve this goal. So the consortium in EuCanImage, first of all, we have the main European infrastructures, data infrastructures, Eurobioimaging, but also the European Genome Phenome Archive for non-imaging data. We've got BBMRI, as a consortium partner. From the United States, we have the Cancer Imaging Archive. We've got various universities and research institutions working in AI, working in high performance computing, and also in ethical and legal issues. And then we have a number of companies. This is also important because we would like that such a platform benefits the private sector and the economy in general. So we have various SMEs as well as big companies. We've got 5 clinical centers, Pisa in Italy, Barcelona, in Sweden, Gdańsk in Poland, and Kaune Klinikos in Lithuania. And the association, the European Institute for Biomedical Imaging Research, ESOI, and the European Association for Cancer Research. The data platform will look more or less this way. So we will have the imaging data that will be at EuroBioimaging. The non-imaging data, the corresponding will be at European Genome Phenome Archive. We will have a catalog to be able to search for the data and to be able to access information on the available data. An access manager that will allow to send access requests that will be then coordinated with the different nodes of the platform. So we do this while following the FAIR data principles that you've heard of findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability. That is to facilitate data search, for example, according to modality, cancer type, subgroup of patients, etc. We'd like to facilitate trusted data sharing and data access, as well as multi-center data analysis. For findability, we develop some tools. So this is from a similar project you can share to search for data. So there will be a search engine. One could choose different search criteria, including imaging, and the engine would return the data sets that are important. Subsequently, there will be a tool for requesting access. So the data will be added to the shopping cart, and then there will be a mechanism to request the data. Obviously, we need to take into account again, ethical and legal compliance, data protection, anonymization, curation, and management. So this is also an important part of the project, and you will have, after my presentation, a very nice talk about this. Regarding interoperability, this is an important issue to investigate and address. Obviously, the data sets across centers are stored in different formats, and on the imaging as well, there are some interoperability issues. So we will use a recently proposed DICOM-YABIS integration model, which we will implement in our project as well. We will also implement techniques to address the differences between scanners and centers. There are all sorts of initiatives around the world that we will also comply with on how to standardize quantitative imaging biomarkers. Finally, in terms of reusability, we would like to offer services to reuse the data, to, for example, to implement such complex data analysis workflows with data from different centers. So the idea would be to have tools in a centralized environment that are easy to use, user-friendly. We created the first version for breast cancer with different services. And for example, for mass detection, one would be able to run the tool, first give a name to the project, and choose the data that one would like to segment, and then choose a deep learning model, for example, here, and compute. And this is sent to the compute server, and eventually the result is given by the system, and then we get the result of the mass detection. So this is the different parts of the project that we will include and that will be implemented, and that we have partly implemented in the first year, and we have 3 more years. And today you're going to see in more detail discussion some of these aspects during this webinar. I would like to thank you and wish you a very good meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karim. So we probably have 2 minutes for some questions. I don't see questions from the attendees, but just want to ask you. You know, my question is a little bit redundant because I'm a member of the project, but if you want to clarify to our audience, at what stage is now the project in terms of time, and let's say.
Indeed, this is, so we have been working on the project for the first year. So I think we started in parallel with two important topics. One is on the inventory and looking at the requirements from the clinical aspects. So we went through the different use cases. We made an inventory, detailed inventory of the data that is available, the non-imaging data that we could add to strengthen the AI models, and what the clinical experts would like to see achieved by these AI tools. So this is very important that we have this point of view from the clinicians. In parallel, we worked a lot on the ethical and legal analysis, governance, data protection, and also data anonymization and curation. This is really the very first step that we need to look into, so we can then get this data from the different clinical centers and start building the AI solutions. Finally, data annotation has been a very important part of this first year, because we need to annotate all this data we get in, which is a non-trivial problem, but we're developing tools, some of which you will see today, to address this.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It's important also to say that EuCanImage is not alone, but is part of the so-called AI for Health Consortium, let's say. That's it's a group, the different project of the same call, Caimelo, ProCancer, Incisive, Pre-Match project, that have similar aims, and there are different working groups created and promoted also by Karim among the different projects to work on the key aspects of the research, and these groups are producing a white paper actually. So a lot is coming from this cooperation. So thank you so much, Karim. I think there is one question. Yeah. Let's see. Thanks for the overview. I'm curious how you deal with lack of data for training AI models, which might become limiting for fair cancers. Any ways to simulate data? Karim.
This is a very good question, and indeed, this is also a part of the project. We are building data synthesis tools to make sure that we can augment the size, the variety, the quality, the richness of the data. Because as you asked, indeed, for these AI tools, we need a lot of data, and for some rare cancers, the data is limited. Obviously, using multi-center data will help, and this is really the essence of the project, but data synthesis will be also something very important that we will develop.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Karim.